She ran for 3 years, changed her name 4 times, slept with a knife under her pillow every single night, all because she witnessed her own father order a man's death. Now a bounty hunter is closing in. The only man who can save her is the same man who once helped destroy her family. And the secret she is hiding could get them both killed. But here is what she did not expect. She did not expect to fall in love with him. What happens when the woman running from her past finds shelter with the man who helped create it? Stay with me until the end, because the moment she whispers, "I cannot hide from you anymore," will change everything you think you know about trust, betrayal, and second chances. This story reminds us that our past does not define our future. No matter how far you have fallen or how long you have been running, it is never too late to stand up, face your demons, and build something beautiful from the ashes. True strength is not about hiding from pain. It is about walking through it and coming out the other side whole. If this story touched your heart, do me a small favor. Hit that like button so more people can find it. Drop a comment telling me where you are listening from today. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Your support means the world to me. Now sit back, relax, and let us begin. She saw him before he saw her. Clara Dunn stood on the frozen, rutted road, her breath rising in white clouds, her fingers numb around the lead rope of a limping mare. The man appeared on the ridge like something carved from the gray sky itself. He sat tall in the saddle, silhouetted against storm clouds that promised nothing good. In that frozen moment, Clara understood a simple truth. If the man on horseback ever learned who she really was, he would either kill her himself or deliver her to the men who would. She had been walking since dawn. The stagecoach that was supposed to carry her to Clearwater had thrown an axle 5 miles back. The driver had cursed, told her to wait, and ridden off on one of the team horses to find help. That was 3 hours ago. The temperature had dropped 20 degrees since then. Clara was not the waiting kind. She watched the rider descend the ridge, her hand move toward the knife hidden in her coat pocket. She forced herself to stop. Running would only make her look guilty. Standing still made her look weak. Neither option appealed to her, but weakness was the safer disguise. The man rode a big roan gelding with a white blaze on its chest. Good horse, well fed. The saddle was worn but cared for. His coat was heavy canvas lined with sheepskin, practical rather than fancy. His hat was pulled low against the wind, shadowing his face. He stopped his horse 10 feet from her. Did not dismount. "You are a long way from anywhere," he said. His voice was low. Not unfriendly, but not warm either. The voice of a man who had learned to measure his words. "I am aware," Clara said. "Storm is coming, big one. You will not make town before it hits." Clara looked at the sky. The clouds were the color of a fresh bruise, swollen and mean. She could smell snow in the wind. He was right, and she hated that he was right. "Then I will find shelter," she said. "Nearest shelter is my ranch, 8 miles west." Clara studied him, tried to read danger in the set of his shoulders, cruelty in the lines of his face. She had learned to recognize predators in the 3 years since she had started running. This man did not move like a predator. He moved like someone who had stopped caring whether the world noticed him or not. "I do not accept charity from strangers," Clara said. The man almost smiled. Almost. "This is not charity. This is common sense. That cloud bank will drop 3 feet of snow by midnight. Your choice is simple. Ride with me or freeze." Clara weighed her options. Death by weather was certain. Death by stranger was only possible. She had survived 3 years by calculating odds like these. "My horse is lame," she said. "I noticed." He swung down from his saddle, moving with the stiff grace of a man who had spent too many hours in the cold. "Let me look." He approached the mare without asking permission. Clara watched his hands as he ran them down the horse's foreleg. They were working hands, scarred and calloused, but gentle with the animal. "Stone bruise," he said. "Not serious, but she should not carry weight for a few days." "I know what it is," Clara said. "I was a veterinarian's assistant in Philadelphia." The man looked up at her. Gray eyes, the color of winter. Something flickered in them that might have been interest. Philadelphia is a long way from Wyoming territory, so people keep telling me. He stood and walked back to his horse. He untied a rope from his saddle and fashioned a quick lead. I will pony her behind my horse. You can ride double with me or walk, your choice. Clara chose to walk. She was not ready to be that close to a stranger. Not yet. Maybe not ever. They traveled west as the sky darkened and the wind picked up. The man did not push for conversation. He rode ahead, leading her limping mare, occasionally glancing back to make sure Clara was keeping pace. She appreciated the silence more than she would have admitted. After an hour, she saw it. A ranch nestled in a valley between two ridges. A main house built of solid logs. A barn that looked newer. Corrals holding horses that had the good sense to cluster together against the coming storm. Smoke rising from the chimney. Coal Creek Ranch, the man said. Clara stopped walking. Cole. She filed the name away. You have a name? She asked. Jessie Cole. He looked at her. You? Clara Dunn. She said it without hesitation. She had been Clara Dunn for 4 months now. Before that, she had been Mary Sullivan. Before that, Elizabeth Crane. The names changed. The running stayed the same. They reached the ranch as the first snowflakes began to fall. A woman emerged from the house, wiping her hands on an apron. She was younger than Clara had expected, maybe late 20s, with brown hair pinned back and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Jessie, the woman said. You found a stray. Her stagecoach broke down, Jessie said. Storm caught her on the road. The woman looked at Clara with an expression that was curious but not hostile. I am Ruth Cole, Jessie's sister. Come inside before you freeze solid. Clara followed her into the house. The warmth hit her like a physical force, making her eyes water and her fingers ache as blood flowed back into them. The kitchen smelled of bread and coffee and wood smoke. It smelled like safety, which made Clara immediately suspicious. Ruth gave her hot coffee and asked questions. Clara answered with the story she had rehearsed. She was traveling west to take a position as a veterinarian's assistant. Her employer had died unexpectedly in Denver. She was seeking new work, simple, believable, boring enough that no one would look twice. We could use someone who knows animals, Ruth said. Winter is hard on the stock. Clara glanced at Jessie. He stood by the door, watching her with those gray eyes. He had not spoken since they entered the house. I cannot pay much, he said finally, but you will have room and board, if you are willing to work. Clara should have said no. She should have asked for directions to the nearest town and walked out into the storm. Staying in one place was dangerous. Staying with strangers was worse. But she was tired. God, she was tired. 3 years of running had worn her down to the bone. I will stay through the winter, she said. We can discuss terms in the morning. Ruth showed her to a small room at the back of the house. It was clean and plain, with a narrow bed and a window that looked out toward the barn. Clara set her carpet bag on the floor and sat on the edge of the mattress. She did not unpack. She never unpacked. That night, Clara stood before the small mirror and unpinned her hair. The lamplight caught her reflection, illuminating the small scar behind her left ear. She had gotten it when she was 12, falling off a horse her father was teaching her to ride. Her father. She pushed the thought away and reached for the lamp. In the hallway outside her door, Jessie Cole stood frozen. He had not meant to stop. He was walking past on his way to his own room when the lamplight spilled through the crack beneath her door. Something made him pause. Something made him look. He saw her profile in the mirror, the slope of her nose, the set of her jaw, and the scar. That small, pale line behind her left ear. Jessie's blood turned to ice. 8 years ago, he had stood in a study in St. Louis. The room had belonged to Judge William Holloway, one of the most powerful men west of the Mississippi. On the desk had been a family portrait, a distinguished man, a beautiful woman, and a girl of 17 with her hair pinned up, revealing a small scar behind her left ear. Jesse Cole had stopped believing in ghosts the day he buried his wife, but standing in that darkened hallway, watching lamplight dance across a dead woman's face, he felt the past reach out with cold, familiar fingers. Evangeline Holloway had been declared dead 3 years ago. Consumption, the papers said. Yet here she stood in his house, calling herself Clara Dunn. Jesse retreated to his own room and did not sleep until dawn. The foal was dying. Clara could see it in the glaze of its eyes, in the rattle in its chest, in the way its mother paced the stall with the terrible knowledge that only animals possess. She could see something else, too. Jesse Cole watching from the shadows, measuring whether she was worth the risk of keeping. Clara had woken before dawn. Old habit. In the places she had lived before, sleeping past sunrise meant missing the moment when trouble arrived. She had gone to the barn to check on her own horse and found Ruth standing outside a stall, wringing her hands. "She was fine yesterday," Ruth said. "The foal, I mean." Penny. She was nursing and walking, and now she can barely stand. Clara pushed past her and entered the stall. The mare pressed against the wall, eyes rolling white, but she let Clara approach. The foal lay in the straw, sides heaving with each labored breath. Clara knelt and pressed her ear to the foal's chest. Listened. Felt. "Aspiration pneumonia," she said. She must have breathed in some fluid when she was born. It festered. Ruth's face went pale. "Is she going to die?" "Not if I can help it." Clara stood. "I need boiling water, clean rags, a pot big enough to hold steam, and someone needs to hold the mare steady. She is scared, and scared horses are dangerous horses." Ruth ran for the house. Clara stayed with the foal, stroking its neck, murmuring nonsense words that meant nothing except comfort. Jesse appeared in the stall doorway. He did not speak. He just watched. Clara worked through the morning. She created a steam tent using blankets and boiling water laced with herbs Ruth found in the kitchen. She massaged the foal's chest to loosen the congestion. She forced spoonfuls of honey and water down its throat when it was too weak to nurse. The cowhands gathered to watch. They had heard about the woman who claimed to be a veterinarian's assistant. Most of them did not believe it. Women did not do this kind of work. Women stayed in houses and raised children and let men handle the dirty business of keeping animals alive. Clara ignored them. She had stopped caring what people believed a long time ago. By noon, the foal's breathing eased. By evening, it was standing on shaky legs. By nightfall, it was nursing while its mother watched with calm eyes. "You saved her," Ruth said. "She saved herself," Clara said. "I just helped." Jesse approached her in the barn after Ruth had gone back to the house. The other hands had scattered to their bunks. Only the two of them remained, surrounded by the smell of hay and horses and the quiet sounds of animals settling for the night. "Winter is coming," Jesse said. "I need someone who knows medicine for the stock. You need work. Stay through the season. I will pay fair wages and you will have room and board." Clara should have said no. Every instinct screamed at her to leave before she got comfortable. Comfort was dangerous. Comfort made you forget to watch the horizon for the people hunting you. But she thought about the foal, about the satisfaction of saving something small and helpless, about sleeping in a warm bed instead of a cold stagecoach. 1 month, she said, with the option to leave if circumstances change. Jesse nodded once. Fair enough. He turned and walked out of the barn. Clara watched him go, wondering what he saw when he looked at her, wondering if he saw Clara Dunn, veterinarian's assistant, or someone else entirely. The next few days passed in a blur of work. Clara threw herself into it with a desperation she did not fully understand. She vaccinated cattle. She treated a cowhand's infected hand. She helped move stock to winter pasture. The work was hard. It made her muscles ache and her hands crack in the cold. But it was honest work, and honest work was something she had not had in 3 years. The cowhands warmed to her slowly. The foreman, a man named Marcus Hollister, was the first to accept her. "You are not like any lady vet I ever met," he said one afternoon, watching her stitch a gash in a horse's flank. "I am not a lady," Clara said. "I am a worker." Mark laughed. He had an easy laugh, the kind that came from a man who had made peace with the world. Clara envied him that. She learned the rhythms of the ranch. Dawn came early, and supper came late. The coffee was strong enough to strip paint. The men told stories around the bunkhouse fire at night. Tall tales about drives they had survived and women they had loved and lost. Clara listened, but did not share. She had no stories she could safely tell. She watched Jesse, too. He worked alongside his men without complaint, never asking them to do anything he would not do himself. He spoke little but noticed everything. When a fence needed mending, he was the first to spot it. When a cow showed signs of illness, he knew before anyone else. He was good at this life, Clara realized. Good at the land and the animals and the quiet routine of ranch work. But there was something else underneath. Something restless. Something waiting. One night, Clara passed his study on the way to her room. Light spilled from beneath the door. She should have kept walking. Instead, she stopped, listened. She heard a drawer open, papers shuffling, then silence. Long silence. She should not have looked, but she did. Through the crack in the door, she saw Jesse holding a photograph. His face was carved with grief, the kind of grief that never fully healed. Clara retreated before he could notice. She went to her room and lay on her bed staring at the ceiling. He was hiding something. She was certain of it. The question was whether his secret was dangerous to her, or whether it was simply a mirror of her own. Clara had promised herself she would never search another person's belongings. That was the behavior of her father's men. The rifling through drawers, the stolen letters, the violated privacy. She had sworn she would never become like them. But promises made in the dark rarely survive the light of temptation. Jesse rode out on the 10th day with Mark to check the north fence line. They would be gone until evening. Ruth was busy in the kitchen preparing food for the week ahead. The cowhands were scattered across the ranch, occupied with their own work. Clara told herself she was just looking for paper to write a letter. She found Jesse's study unlocked. The room was small and spare. A desk, a chair, a bookshelf holding volumes on animal husbandry and territorial law. A window that looked out toward the mountains. The drawer she remembered was in the desk. She pulled it open. Inside, she found a file folder yellowed with age. Her hands trembled as she lifted it. The first thing she saw was a photograph. A woman with dark hair and laughing eyes. Beautiful. Clearly beloved. On the back, someone had written, "Sarah, spring of '83. Beneath the photograph was a badge, Texas Ranger. The metal was dull with disuse. Beneath the badge were newspaper clippings. Headlines about corruption in St. Louis, about bribes paid to judges, about witnesses who disappeared before they could testify. Beneath the clippings was a letter, handwritten. The signature at the bottom read, Samuel Briggs. Clara's hands went cold as she read the words. I have documented everything, the payments, the threats, the deaths he has ordered. If anything happens to me, this letter must reach the Rangers. Judge Holloway is not what he pretends to be. He is a monster wearing the skin of a respectable man. Samuel Briggs. Clara knew that name. He had been a clerk in her father's office. He had died 8 years ago in what the papers called a robbery gone wrong. She kept reading. Beneath the letter was a list of names, dates, amounts, people who had crossed Judge Holloway and paid the price. And at the very bottom of the file was a photograph she had hoped never to see again. It was a family portrait, taken when she was 17. Her father stood at the center, distinguished and proud. Her mother sat beside him, beautiful but brittle. And Clara stood behind them both, her hair pinned up in the fashion of the time, revealing the small scar behind her left ear. Her blood turned to ice. Jesse Cole knew who she was. He had known from the beginning. She heard hoofbeats outside, returning early. She shoved everything back into the drawer, slammed it shut, and fled to the kitchen. Ruth looked up as Clara entered. "You look pale. Are you feeling all right?" "Just tired," Clara said. Her voice sounded strange even to her own ears. "I think I will lie down." She retreated to her room and paced until the walls felt like they were closing in. Jesse Cole was a former Texas Ranger. He had investigated her father. He had a file filled with evidence of crimes that could destroy the Holloway name, and he had a photograph of her, the girl she used to be, which meant he was either an ally or the most dangerous kind of enemy. She should leave. She should pack her bag right now and slip out the back door before Jesse returned. She could be miles away before anyone noticed she was gone. But the blizzard had sealed the valley. The passes would not clear for weeks. If she ran now, she would die in the snow. And if she stayed, she might learn the truth. Why had Jesse Cole kept this file for 8 years? What did he want? Was he hunting her father or was he hunting her? She made her decision. She would stay, but she would watch him as carefully as he watched her. That night, Clara dreamed of her father's study. Photographs scattered like autumn leaves. A man with gray eyes standing in the doorway saying, "I know who you are." In the dream, she could not tell if it was a threat or a promise. The next morning, everything changed. A new cowhand arrived at the ranch. His name was Emmett Slade. He had a way of looking at Clara that made her skin crawl. The look of a man who believed anything unclaimed was his for the taking. On his second day, Slade cornered her in the barn. "You are a pretty thing," he said. "What is a pretty thing like you doing out here with all these rough men?" Clara did not back away. "Working. Same as you." Slade stepped closer. His breath smelled like tobacco and something sour. "Working. Right. I bet you work real hard for the boss. I bet you give him all kinds of special treatment." Clara's hand found the knife in her pocket. "Remove your hand or lose it," she said. Slade laughed. Then he looked down and saw the blade pressed against his wrist. He stopped laughing. "You are crazy," he said. He backed away, hands raised. "I was just being friendly. I am not interested in your friendship." Clara kept the knife visible. "Do not touch me again." Slade retreated, but his eyes promised that this was not over. Clara did not tell Jesse about the incident. She did not tell anyone. She had handled worse than Emmett Slade. Telling people meant explaining how she had learned to react like that, move like that, survive like that. Better to stay silent. Better to stay invisible. But Slade watched her after that. Not with lust anymore. With calculation. He had noticed she flinched at certain sounds. He had noticed her bag was always packed. He had noticed she had something to hide. 3 days after Slade arrived, the blizzard hit. It came down from the mountains like a living thing. 3 feet of snow in 48 hours. The temperature dropped so low that water froze in the buckets before it could be carried inside. Everyone hunkered down. The cowhands stayed in the bunkhouse. Ruth stayed in the kitchen, keeping the fire fed and the food warm. Jesse and Clara stayed in the barn, tending to laboring cattle. They worked side by side through the worst of it, hour after hour. Clara did not think about Jesse's file or her father's crimes or the man named Silas Cain who was surely still hunting her. She thought only about the animal in front of her, the calf that needed pulling, the cow that needed warming, the simple, brutal work of keeping things alive. At some point in the endless night, they collapsed against a hay bale, both exhausted, both too tired to maintain their careful walls. Jesse said something. Clara could not remember what, but it was funny, and she laughed. It was the first real laugh she had experienced in 3 years. Jesse looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. The moment stretched between them. Something shifted. Something cracked. Then a shout from outside. Fire. The bunkhouse chimney had caught. Sparks had spread to the roof. The hands were scrambling to form bucket lines, but the snow made everything slow and clumsy. Clara ran out to help. She did not think about the cold. She did not think about her secrets. She thought only about the fire and the men trying to fight it. They contained the blaze before it could spread. The damage was minimal. But Clara could not stop shaking. It was not the fire. It was the loss of control. The reminder that everything could change in seconds. The knowledge that no matter how careful she was, the world could still reach out and grab her. After midnight, she stood outside the barn alone, trying to breathe. Jesse found her there. He did not speak at first, just stood beside her in the darkness. Finally, he said, "Bad memories?" "Are they not all?" Clara replied. A long silence. "I have not told you why I left the Rangers," Jesse said. "I have not asked." "I know. That is why I want to tell you." He told her, not everything, but enough. About an investigation shut down by men with power. About a corrupt judge who walked free while innocent people died. About leaving the Rangers in disgust because the badge had stopped meaning what it was supposed to mean. He did not name Holloway, but Clara knew. She knew exactly who he was describing. "Some debts do not have an expiration date," Jesse said. "Sooner or later the truth comes out. It always does." Clara should have run. She should have run right then, into the snow, into the darkness, away from this man who knew too much, who wanted too much, who was circling too close to the truth of who she really was. But when Jesse Cole looked at her with those storm-gray eyes, Clara felt something crack inside her. The wall she had built. The wall that kept everyone out. She stayed. He almost kissed her on Tuesday. She almost let him. And then everything almost fell apart. The blizzard had passed. Work resumed. But something had changed between Clara and Jesse. They orbited each other now, finding excuses to be in the same space. Their hands brushed passing tools. Their eyes met across the corral. He caught her when she slipped on ice, and his arm around her waist lingered a moment longer than necessary. Ruth noticed. Ruth always noticed. "If you two do not stop circling each other like spooked horses," Ruth said one morning, "I am going to lock you in the tack room until you figure it out." "I do not know what you mean," Clara said. Ruth just smiled. The almost kiss happened on a Tuesday afternoon. They were in the barn, working on a horse with a stone bruise. Jesse was demonstrating the proper way to poultice the hoof. His hand covered hers to guide her movements. Neither moved. The moment stretched. He leaned in. Bang! A bucket fell outside the barn door. Emmett Slade stood in the entrance, smirking. "Sorry," Slade said. "Did not mean to interrupt." The moment shattered. Clara stepped back. Jesse's jaw tightened. That night, Slade caught Clara alone by the water pump. He did not touch her this time. He did not need to. "Saw something interesting the other day," Slade said. "You coming out of the boss's study when he was not home." Clara's blood went cold. "I was looking for paper to write a letter." "Sure you were. Just like you are Clara Dunn from Philadelphia." Slade smiled. "Thing is, I knew a girl named Clara Dunn in Cheyenne. Older than you. Meaner, too. Your story does not add up." Clara forced herself to meet his eyes. "What do you want?" "Nothing yet. Just making observations, letting you know I am watching." He walked away. Clara stood by the pump, shaking. Slade did not have proof, but he was fishing. And Clara knew that one wrong word could destroy everything she had built. She could run. She had money saved. Enough for a stagecoach to Denver. She could silence Slade permanently. She had the skills, if not the stomach. Or she could trust someone, for the first time in 3 years. She found Jesse in his study that night. He was sitting at his desk, staring at nothing. The drawer where he kept his file was closed, but Clara knew what was inside. "I need to tell you something," she said. Jesse looked up. His face was carefully blank. Clara sat in the chair across from him. She did not tell him everything, not yet. But she told him enough. About Slade, about the blackmail, about the fact that people might be looking for her. "Is what you are running from going to bring harm to this ranch?" Jesse asked. "To Ruth?" "Not if I leave before it catches up." "And if you stay?" Clara met his eyes. Then I need to know I can trust you. A long pause. You can, Jesse said. But trust goes both ways, Clara. When you are ready for the whole truth, I will be here. She nodded, stood to leave. One more thing, Jesse said. She stopped at the door. Slade is gone. I sent him packing this afternoon. He was trouble from the moment he arrived. Clara turned. You knew? I suspected. Jesse's face softened. No one treats my people that way. Especially not someone I care about. Someone you care about. The words hung in the air. That night they stood outside under frozen stars. No interruptions this time. No buckets falling. No smirking cowhands. The kiss was slow. Careful. Two people who had forgotten how to be vulnerable. They broke apart. Breathless. Whatever you are running from, Jesse said, we face it together. Clara wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to. She kissed him again, harder, deeper, like a woman trying to outrun her own doubt. And in that moment, she made the most dangerous choice of her life. She chose to stay. She found the letter at the bottom of his drawer, the one she was not supposed to open. In the file she was not supposed to see, containing the name she had tried to bury for 3 years. And suddenly every kiss, every gentle word, every moment of trust turned to ash in her hands. It happened on a Tuesday. Jesse had ridden out with Mark to deal with fence cutters on the north boundary. Clara told herself she was not going to search the study again. She searched the study again. This time she read everything. The letter from Samuel Briggs detailing her father's crimes. Notes in Jesse's handwriting about the Holloway investigation. A list of deaths connected to the judge. And a note dated 1 week ago. The handwriting was Jesse's. E.H. confirmed at Coal Creek. Approach with caution. Verify ledger existence. Clara's world collapsed. He knew. He had known from the beginning, and he had been using her. She was still standing in the study, papers in hand, when Jesse returned. His face went pale. E.H., Clara said. Evangeline Holloway. That is me, is it not? Clara. Verify ledger existence. Clara's voice shook. You are not protecting me. You are using me. Everything you said, the trust, the facing it together, it was all to get your hands on my father's records. That is not, do not lie to me again. Jesse stepped toward her. She stepped back. When you first arrived, yes, he said. I recognized you. I knew who you were. And I thought, God help me, I thought you might be the key to finally taking him down. So I was a means to an end. You were. Past tense. He held up his hands. Clara, listen to me. When I wrote that note, I did not know you. I knew a photograph and a dead girl's name. But these past weeks you have been playing me, gaining my trust, waiting for me to hand over the ledger like a good little pawn. I have been falling in love with you. Clara laughed. Bitter. Broken. Love. That word means nothing to you. It meant nothing to Daniel either. When he sold my location to my father for $100, Jesse flinched. Who is Daniel? The last man who said he loved me, right before he destroyed my life. She threw the papers at his chest. You want to destroy my father? Fine, take the ledger. It is hidden in the lining of my carpet bag. Take it and let me go. She turned to leave. Clara, wait. She stopped at the door, did not turn around. My mother trusted my father until the day he had her killed. I swore I would never make that mistake again. Her voice cracked. You made a liar of me, Jesse Cole. She walked out into the snow. She did not pack, did not plan, just took a horse and rode into the darkening evening. No destination, just away. Jessie followed, but the weather was turning and her head start was enough. She made it 5 miles before the storm hit in earnest. She took shelter in a ravine, shivering, crying for the first time in 3 years. Not crying for Jesse, crying for herself, for the girl who wanted so badly to believe. He found her anyway. He tracked her through the storm because of course he did. She saw him coming and drew her pistol. "Do not," she said. Jesse dismounted slowly, hands visible. "Shoot me if you need to. But I am not leaving you out here to die." "Why?" "You got what you wanted. The ledger is at the ranch. I do not want the damn ledger. I want you." They found shelter in an abandoned line shack. Fire started, horses secured. The storm screaming outside. And in that small space, Jesse told her everything. The investigation, the witness who died, the case that was buried, Sarah, his wife, how she died, how he had spent 6 years believing Holloway was responsible but unable to prove it. "I wanted justice," he said. "I wanted revenge. And when I saw your face that first night, I thought, here is my chance. And now? Now I cannot tell where the justice ends and the love begins. And I do not care anymore." He looked at her. "Your father took everything from me. But you are not him. You are the bravest person I have ever met. And if you want to walk away, I will help you disappear. Give you money, a horse, a head start. You will never see me again. And the ledger? Burn it, hide it. I do not care. It was never worth more than you." Clara studied him for a long time. The fire crackled between them. "You should have told me from the beginning," she said. "I know, if you ever hide something from me again, for any reason, I will leave, and I will not come back." "I understand." A long pause. "There is a man named Silas Cain," Clara said. "He is a bounty hunter. My father hired him to kill me. Not capture me. Kill me. He is the one who murdered my mother." Jesse's jaw tightened. "If we do this," Clara continued, "if we go after my father, Silas will come. He has to. If I testify, he hangs for my mother's death. Then we will be ready for him." Clara reached for him. He reached back. They held each other as the storm raged. Two people who had been broken by the same man, finding in each other something neither had expected. Not redemption, not forgiveness, but something far more frightening. Hope. Silas Cain rode into Clearwater on a Wednesday morning. He ordered a whiskey at the Dusty Rose Saloon and asked with perfect politeness where he might find the Cold Creek Ranch. By noon, the whole valley knew the wolves had arrived. Clara and Jesse returned to the ranch to find Ruth frantic. "Where have you been?" Ruth demanded. There was no time for explanations. Mark approached Jesse, face grim. "Boss, we have got trouble." A rider had come while they were gone. He had left a message nailed to the barn door. "The woman has something that belongs to her father. Deliver her to Clearwater by Friday noon, or we burn the ranch and everyone in it." The signature was simple. S. Cain. That gave them 3 days. Jesse called the cowhands together. He stood on the porch with Clara beside him and told them the truth. A killer was coming. A fight was coming. Anyone who wanted to leave could go with no hard feelings and full wages. Some left. Most stayed. They spent the next 2 days preparing. Windows were barricaded. Rifles were positioned. Fallback points were established in the house, the barn, the root cellar. Clara worked alongside the men. She did not hide in the house. She did not wait to be saved. Jesse tried once to convince her to take shelter when the shooting started. "No," Clara said. That was the end of that argument. On Thursday night, Jesse received word from a contact in town. Silas had 6 men, not 4, and they had dynamite. He made a decision. He did not tell Clara. He told himself it was to protect her. She had enough to worry about. But it was the same mistake, the same protective instinct that had led him to hide the file. He convinced Mark to help him thin the numbers before the main assault. They would ride out before dawn, hit Silas's camp while his men were still sleeping, take out as many as they could. They left before sunrise. Clara found out anyway. She discovered the note Jesse had left for Ruth. Instructions in case they did not return. He went after them, Clara said. Alone. He has Mark with him, Ruth said. 6 men with dynamite. He knew. He knew, and he did not tell me. Clara was already reaching for a rifle. Which direction? She rode out alone. Tracked Jesse and Mark through the snow. Circled behind Silas's position. She arrived just in time. Jesse and Mark had gotten the drop on 2 of Silas's men. But it was a trap. Silas had expected this. Gunfire erupted in the frozen woods. Mark took a bullet to the shoulder. Jesse was pinned down behind a fallen log, ammunition running low. Then shots rang out from behind Silas's position. 2 of his men went down. Clara had found them. She was not the best shot, but she was good enough, and she was furious enough to be dangerous. Silas pulled back. With 3 men down and Surprise lost, continuing the fight made no sense. But before he retreated, he shouted to Jesse, "This is not over, Cole. The girl has something that can put me in the ground. You think I will walk away?" And to Clara he added, "Your mother begged, you know. At the end, begged for your life. Did not do her much good." Clara's finger tightened on the trigger. Jesse put a hand on her arm. "Not like this," he said. "Not murder. Justice." Silas rode away laughing. The ride back to the ranch was silent. Mark slumped in his saddle, bleeding through the bandage Clara had applied. Jesse rode ahead, shoulders tight with tension. When they reached the ranch, Ruth ran out to meet them. Behind her stood one of the cowhands with a piece of paper in his hand. "A telegram," Ruth said, "intercepted from town, addressed to someone named Slade." Clara's blood went cold. Slade, the cowhand Jesse had sent away. She read the telegram. "E.H., confirmed Wyoming territory. Departing immediately. Arrive Cheyenne, December 10th. Prepare reception. W.H., William Holloway, her father." He was coming himself. Clara looked at Jesse, at Ruth, at the ranch that had become something dangerously close to home. She had run from her father's shadow for 3 years. Now the shadow was coming to meet her. And for the first time, she did not want to run. She wanted to face it. On her terms. In the light, with the man she loved beside her. But first they had unfinished business with Silas Cain. Clara left before dawn without waking Jesse. She left a note on her pillow. 3 words that were either a promise or a goodbye. "Trust me." She rode toward Silas's camp alone. But she was not surrendering. She was negotiating. She had figured out Silas's weakness. He did not actually want to kill her. He wanted the ledger. If she died before revealing where it was, he was no safer. She was going to buy time. She found their camp at mid-morning. 3 men left, including Silas. The others had fled or died in yesterday's ambush. She rode in openly, hands visible. Silas stepped out of his tent. He was a big man with a scar running from temple to jaw. His eyes held the flat patience of a predator. "Well," he said, "the little bird came to the cat. The little bird came to make a deal." Silas laughed. "Did he now?" Clara dismounted, kept her hands where he could see them. "You need me alive," she said. "If I die, the ledger goes to the territorial marshal with instructions to open it if anything happens to me." "You are bluffing, am I?" "My mother taught me to plan ahead. It was the last useful thing she did before you murdered her." Something flickered in Silas's eyes. He had not expected her to know that. "Yes," Clara said. I know. I know everything. And if I testify at a hearing, so will the ledger. Then I kill you right now, and the marshal opens the ledger by Friday. Your hanging would be scheduled by Christmas." Silas studied her. The other 2 men had emerged from their tents, hands on their guns. Clara ignored them. She kept her focus on Silas. "Here is my offer," she said. "You let Jesse Cole and his people alone. You ride out of Wyoming and never come back. In exchange, I do not name you at the hearing. My father goes to prison. You walk free." Silas considered. "It was actually a reasonable deal." "And why would you let me go?" he asked. "I killed your mother. Because some debts cannot be paid in blood, and because I am tired of people dying. A long pause. Wind whispered through the pines. Snow creaked under someone's boot. You are either very smart or very stupid, girl. I am my mother's daughter. She was both. Silas seemed to accept the deal. He extended his hand. Then he moved. Fast. Too fast for Clara to react. His hand clamped around her wrist. He spun her around and pressed a knife to her throat. I have got a better idea, he said. You write down where that ledger is. I burn it. Then I kill your father myself and we are both free. If you burn it, you have no leverage over him. If I burn it, neither do you. Then it is just a daughter's word against a respected judge. He was right. Without the ledger, she was just a runaway with a grudge. Right, Silas said. Now. One of his men brought paper and a pencil. Clara pretended to comply. She took the paper, started writing. Then she jammed the pencil into Silas's hand and ran. Shots fired. She dove behind a rock. She was not trying to escape. She was buying time, because she had seen dust on the ridge. Riders coming. Jesse. She had known he would follow. She had counted on it. She just needed to keep Silas talking long enough. Jesse, Mark, and 3 cowhands swept down on the camp. The gunfight was brutal and short. 2 of Silas's men went down. The 3rd surrendered. Silas tried to run. Clara stepped into his path. She had a pistol. He had a knife. You do not have the nerve, Silas said. You killed my mother. You have hunted me for 3 years. You threatened the only people I have let myself love. Clara cocked the hammer. Try me. Jesse appeared beside her. Clara, do not. He deserves to die. He deserves worse. He deserves to stand trial, to have the whole territory hear what he did. Clara's hand shook. The rage inside her was a living thing, demanding blood. Silas smiled. Listen to your man, girl. You are not a killer. No, Clara said. I am not. She lowered the gun. But I am not a victim anymore either. Jesse knocked Silas out with the butt of his rifle. Clean, efficient. We will take him to Laramie, Jesse said. The territorial marshal can hold him until the hearing. As they bound Silas, Clara searched his saddlebags. She found letters, correspondence with her father. One phrase caught her eye. Bringing D.A. as witness. Will testify to her instability. D.A. Daniel Ashworth. Her father was coming. And he was bringing the man who had first broken her heart. 5 days on the trail. 5 nights under frozen stars. And with every mile toward Cheyenne, Clara felt the girl she had been frightened running, hiding, falling away like dead skin. Whatever waited at the end of this road, she would face it standing. They left Silas with the territorial marshal in Laramie. The marshal was skeptical, but agreed to hold him pending evidence. Jesse, Clara, and Mark continued toward Cheyenne for the hearing. Ruth stayed to manage the ranch, but not before pressing a small Bible into Clara's hands. Mamas, Ruth said, for luck. I do not believe in luck. Then believe in something better. Believe in yourself. The first night on the trail, Clara asked Jesse about Sarah. They sat by the campfire, wrapped in blankets against the cold. The stars overhead were sharp as broken glass. Tell me about her, Clara said. Your wife. Jesse was quiet for a long time, then she laughed easily. She believed in people. She trusted the world. She sounds like the opposite of me. Jesse looked at her. She sounds like the woman you could have been. Before. Do you still love her? I will always love who she was, but I am not waiting for her anymore. He took her hand. I am here, with you. The second night, Clara told Jesse about Daniel. She told him about Daniel Ashworth. Charming, educated, everything a young heiress was supposed to want. She told him how Daniel had helped her escape her father's house, how she had thought he loved her, how she had woken in a Denver hotel to find him gone and her father's men at the door. He sold me for $100, Clara said. That is what my life was worth to him. When I see him, Jesse said, I'm going to break his jaw. Get in line. The third night, they were attacked. 2 riders sent ahead by Holloway. Night ambush, gunfire in the dark. Mark took another wound, serious this time. They fought off the attackers, but Mark could not continue. They left him at a remote ranch with a doctor. He would live. But he would miss the hearing. It was just Clara and Jesse now. The 4th night, Clara admitted her fear. "What if I cannot do it?" she asked. "What if I see my father and I just freeze? You faced Silas Cain alone. You are not going to freeze. Silas is a killer. My father is worse. He is the man who taught me to ride, who read me stories, who held me when I cried." Her voice broke. "How do I destroy someone I used to love?" "By remembering who he destroyed. Your mother, Samuel Briggs, Sarah. All the people whose names are in that ledger. I keep the ledger under my pillow. Every night. Like it is protecting me. It is. It is proof that you are not crazy. That everything you remember is real." The 5th night was their last before Cheyenne. They made love for the first time, under the stars, wrapped in blankets against the cold. 2 people who had forgotten how to be vulnerable, learning it again together. Afterward, in the darkness. "Whatever happens tomorrow," Jesse said, "whatever your father does, I love you. I know." That is not a response. Clara turned to face him. "I have never said those words to anyone except my mother. The last time I said them I was 17. She was dying. You do not have to. I love you, Jesse Cole." She kissed him. "Now you cannot take it back. I was not planning to." They rode into Cheyenne as the sun rose on day 6. The territorial capital was larger than Clearwater. Busy with politics and commerce, the streets were crowded with men in suits and men in range clothes and women in dresses that had never seen a speck of trail dust. They headed for the courthouse, and there, standing on the steps as if he had been waiting, was Judge William Holloway. He was flanked by a lawyer, 2 armed guards, and a pale, nervous man Clara recognized instantly. Daniel Ashworth. Holloway saw Clara. His face cycled through shock, relief, and finally a mask of paternal concern. "Evangeline," he said, "my darling girl, thank God you are alive." He opened his arms like a father welcoming a lost child, and Clara felt every ounce of strength she had gathered over 3 years narrow to a single terrifying point. This was the moment. This was the choice. Run or stand. She stepped forward. The territorial courthouse smelled of old paper and new ambition. Clara stood outside the hearing room, her hand on the door, and thought, "Whatever I was before this moment ends now. Whoever I am after will be forged in the next hour." She wore borrowed clothes, plain, dignified, nothing fancy. Jesse stood beside her. "You do not have to do this," he said. "We can still take the ledger to a newspaper, go public another way, and let him spin it? Let him call me mad and tell the world I forged everything?" Clara met his eyes. Number 1. I face him. Today. The hearing room was small. A territorial judge named Hammond presided. He was neutral by the book. Good. Present were Clara, Jesse, Holloway, his lawyer, Daniel Ashworth, and various clerks and observers. Holloway's lawyer opened by claiming Evangeline Holloway had been unwell since her mother's death, suffering delusions of persecution, not competent to testify. They presented evidence. A statement from a Denver sanitarium claiming Clara had been a patient. Testimony from Daniel about her episodes. Daniel took the stand. He testified that Clara was fragile, prone to fantasy, fixated on conspiracy theories about her father. Clara watched him, the man she had once trusted. He could not meet her eyes. When it was her turn to cross-examine, she stood slowly, walked toward him. "Mr. Ashworth, when you helped me escape St. Louis 3 years ago, did I seem fragile? You were emotional. I had just discovered my father ordered a man's death. I would say emotion was appropriate." She stepped closer. Did I seem like I was lying? Like I was inventing conspiracies? I believed you at the time. And what changed your mind? Silence. I have a receipt from the Bank of St. Louis, Clara said. $100 withdrawn from my father's account, deposited into yours, dated 2 days before you told him where to find me. Gasps from the observers. Daniel went white. You did not decide I was delusional, Daniel. You were paid to say I was. Clara turned from him and approached the judge's bench. I have evidence, she said. Documentation of every crime my father has committed over the past 20 years. She presented the ledger. Page by page, she walked Judge Hammond through it. Names, dates, amounts, bribes paid to officials. Witnesses intimidated into silence. Deaths arranged to look like accidents. Samuel Briggs appeared in the ledger. The amount paid to have him killed was written in her father's own hand. Sarah Cole appeared too. Payment to an S. Cain dated 2 weeks before her accident. Jesse watched from the gallery. His fists were clenched white. This was the first time he had seen proof of what he had always suspected. Holloway's lawyer objected, demanded authentication, stalled, but the weight of evidence was overwhelming. Holloway stood suddenly, ignoring his lawyer. Evie, stop this, please. The room went silent. Whatever you think I have done, Holloway said, I did it for the family. For us. To protect what we built. You killed my mother. I had to. She was going to destroy everything. The admission hung in the air. Even his lawyer looked horrified. Clara felt something shift inside her. The last hope she had been holding without knowing it finally died. You destroyed everything yourself, she said. You just did not notice because the rubble was made of other people's lives. Holloway moved toward her. The guards tensed, but he was not threatening. He was desperate. Evie, please, come home. We can fix this. I will give you everything. The house, the money, whatever you want. Just stop. Clara looked at her father, the man who had taught her to ride, who had called her his brave girl, who had murdered her mother and hunted her across a territory and still believed he was the victim. I cannot hide from you anymore, she said. The words fell into the silence like stones into still water. For 3 years I have worn other women's names. I have slept with one eye open. I have lived in terror of the moment you would find me. And now you have. You are standing right in front of me, and I am not afraid anymore. Evie. My name is Evangeline Holloway. I am the daughter of Judge William Holloway, and I am here in front of God and this court to tell the truth my father has spent a lifetime trying to bury. Judge Hammond ruled. Sufficient evidence existed to bind Holloway over for criminal trial. He was remanded to custody of the territorial marshal. The trial would be held at the territorial seat in Laramie. As Holloway was led out, he turned to Clara one last time. I loved you, he said. Everything I did. I know you believe that. Clara's voice was quiet, tired, almost kind. But love does not look like this, Father. It never did. She watched them take him away. She did not cry. She did not rage. She just stood there, feeling hollow. Jesse found her outside the courthouse, sitting alone on a bench. It is over, he said. Not yet. The trial will take months. The trial is a formality. The ledger and his own confession sealed it. Jesse sat beside her. Silas will hang for your mother, and for Sarah. Clara leaned against him. Is it wrong that I do not feel triumphant? I feel hollow. You just put your own father in chains. Hollow is probably healthy. A long silence. What do you want to do now? Jesse asked. Clara thought about it. Philadelphia, St. Louis, Denver. All the places she had run through on her way to nowhere. I want to go home, she said. Where is home? She looked at him. Coal Creek. If the offer still stands. It does. Then I want to go home. And I want to watch the snow melt. And I want to see Penny's foal born. And I want... She took his hand. I want to stop running. Jesse pulled her close. Then let us go home. She stood up from the bench. The Wyoming wind cut sharp across the courthouse square, carrying the smell of snow and pine and something else. Something that smelled like possibility. She was not running anymore. She was not hiding. For the first time in 3 years, Evangeline Holloway was walking towards something instead of away. And Jessie Cole was right beside her. The letter arrived on a Tuesday, carried by a rider who had come from Laramie through the mud and the wildflowers. Clara read it on the porch of the ranch house. Jessie stood beside her. William Holloway was dead, found in his cell 2 weeks before his trial was scheduled to begin. He had hanged himself with his belt. Clara lowered the letter. "I thought I would feel something," she said. "Give it time. I think I grieved for him a long time ago. The man I loved, my father, he died the night I saw him order a killing. This is just the end of a ghost." She folded the letter carefully and put it in her pocket. That afternoon, she wrote 2 letters of her own. One was addressed to her mother's grave in St. Louis to be read by the caretaker. An apology, a goodbye, a promise to live the life Catherine Holloway should have had. The other was to Ruth, who was visiting family in Denver. Just news. Just normal life. When she was done writing, Clara took the ledger from its hiding place in her carpet bag. She carried it outside to the fire pit where they burned brush and old fence posts. Jessie followed her. "You are sure?" he asked. "The truth is in the court records now. It does not need to live in my carpet bag anymore." She dropped the ledger into the flames, watched the pages curl and blacken, watched 20 years of crimes turn to ash and drift away on the wind. It was lighter than she expected. The weight she had carried for 3 years gone in a matter of minutes. 6 months had changed the ranch. Mark was healed, running the spring roundup with a limp he swore did not slow him down. Penny the foal was now a yearling, strong, healthy, following Clara everywhere like an overgrown puppy. The cowhands had stopped thinking of Clara as unusual. She was just Clara. Doc, the boss's woman. Part of the ranch like the barn and the corrals in the mountains that ring the valley. And Clara herself had changed. She slept through the night now, most nights. She did not keep her bag packed. She said home, and meant it. Late one afternoon, she climbed the hill behind the ranch house, the one with the view of the whole valley. Jessie found her there. He always knew where to find her. "What are you thinking?" he asked. Clara looked out at the land below. The cattle grazing in the spring grass, the horses running in the far pasture, the ranch house with smoke rising from the chimney. "I am thinking about names," she said. "I have been Clara Dunn, Mary Sullivan, Elizabeth Crane, a dozen others. I have been Evangeline Holloway, my father's daughter, a dead woman walking. And now?" Clara turned to face him. She put her hand over her stomach. "Now I am thinking about what to name our child." Jessie went very still. "Clara. I was going to tell you after dinner. More dramatic that way." She was smiling, a real smile, unguarded and bright, but I could not wait. Jessie pulled her close, held her like she might disappear if he let go. She held him back, solid and present, and here. "If it is a girl," he said, "Catherine, after my mother, the woman she was before. And a boy? I was thinking Samuel. After the man who tried to do the right thing, Samuel Cole." Jessie tested the name. "It is a good name. It is a new name. Not borrowed. Not hiding. Just ours." They stood together on the hillside, watching the sun paint the valley in shades of gold and rose. Below them the cattle grazed, the horses ran. The ranch breathed with the rhythm of ordinary life. She had worn many names, she had lived many lives. She had walked through fire and shadow and come out the other side, not unscathed, never unscathed, but whole. Evangeline Holloway, Clara Dunn. And soon, something new. A mother, a wife, a woman who no longer needed to hide. The wind from the west carried the smell of wildflowers and distant rain. Clara leaned into Jessie's warmth and closed her eyes. She was home. This content was carefully researched, developed, and manually edited by our team to deliver meaningful stories with valuable life lessons. Every narrative is crafted to entertain, inspire, and empower our audience. We believe that great stories can change lives, and we are committed to bringing you content that matters. Thank you for being part of our community.